Hi and welcome back to another World of Tanks review with me, Antonow too. And today we're once more in the garage with the Type T-34 Tier 5 Chinese medium tank. This is the first medium tank you get in the Chinese tech tree. As you can see, you go through the Chi-Ha, M5A1 Stuart or light tanks here, and then at Tier 5 you get your first medium tank, the Type T-35, and then from there you can go down the light tanks to the 121. You can go down your medium tanks to the 121, or you can go down the heavy tanks to the 113. So the Type T-34 is a pretty important tank in the Chinese tech tree, because to get any tank in the Chinese tech tree higher Tier 6 or higher, you have to go through the Type T-34. And this tank basically is a T-34, a Russian T-34, with the only differences that it's got a lot worse gun depression, and that the available modules, that there are a lot less available modules. If you have a look at the tech tree, this is the vehicle specific tech tree of a Type T-34, and here we've got the vehicle, but no, that's wrong, the vehicle specific tech tree of the T-34, the Russian, the Russian original. And the main difference basically is that the Russian T-34 has got this 76mm S54 gun and the 57mm ZIS-4 gun, while the Chinese tank has only got the ZIS-4. It's got a different name, but it's exactly the same gun. Well, it's not that big a problem really, because the ZIS-4 is the better gun of the two anyway, so you should be using this gun anyways. It doesn't really matter if you've got this gun or not, although this was more or less the standard gun of the T-34 in the Second World War. However, this gun is a lot better, so yeah, that's kind of good that it's got that gun, and you don't really miss the other gun. So yeah, why is there this Russian tank sitting in the middle of a Chinese tech tree? China and Russia at the time of the Second World War, or shortly after it, shortly after the Second World War, China became communist, and because the Soviet Union at that time obviously was communist too, they were kind of like allies, and the Type T-34 was exported to China from the Soviet Union, because at the time the Chinese didn't really manufacture all that many tanks of their own. If you look at this, nearly all these low tier Chinese tanks are all imported from foreign countries, like for example the NC-31 from France, the Chi-Ha, for example, was a Chinese production. However, the M5A1 Stuart was imported from the US, and the T-34 was imported from Russia. So that's the historical aspect. And yeah, both of these tanks basically are basically are exactly the same. We'll just quickly compare the two of them. Got exactly the same amount of hit points. The Type T-34 weighs a bit less. They've got both the same engine. The T-34 is 1 km/h faster. The Type T-34 turns 2 degrees faster, but it's still both pretty much the same. Their armor stats are exactly the same on turret and hull. The gun stats are exactly the same. Let's see. Well, okay, the turret traverse speed is 1 degree faster on the T-34. The view range is exactly the same, and the signal range is exactly the same. So it's basically exactly the same tank. The only difference with the gun is that we'll quickly pull up the stats. Oops, there and there. So the only difference is the weight, because these guns are exactly the same except for the weight, because this gun weighs half as much, nearly, as the ZIS-4 and the Russian tank. I've got no idea why that is so. It's a bit stupid, really. I've got really no idea, but it just is like that. So, yeah, I can't help it. Anyway, we'll quickly review the stats. 450 hit points is kind of lower average for a tier 5 medium tank, but it's average. It's alright, you know. The weight is a bit little, but I fear I haven't got any other tier 5 medium tanks to compare it to. Let's see. The Germans are probably going to be a lot heavier. Let's say, take the Panzer IV. No, it's actually lighter. Okay, just quickly pull up the M4 Sherman. Yeah, that's a bit more heavy, so yeah, it's kind of average weight for a tier 5 medium tank. The engine power, driving these 30 tons about, is 500 horsepower. So, oops, I'm actually looking at the wrong tank, but it doesn't matter because they're exactly the same tank, really. So, we get a power to weight ratio of 17.33 horsepower per ton. So that's pretty good. The traverse speed is very, very good. 55 degrees per second is... No, that's actually the speed, sorry. The speed is very fast. 55 kph is very good. The traverse speed is decent. It's 42 degrees per second. I must say it feels kind of sluggish. However, the numbers don't lie. It's a good traverse speed. The armor is a bit mediocre on the whole. 45 on the front, 45 at the sides, and 40 at the rear. However, it's angled really, really well. I'd say that's a 45 degree angle, and it's even angled well on the sides and on the rear. So if you angle your hull like this, you'll get quite a lot of ricochets in tier 5 games. Your turret is armored a bit better, 52 degrees on front and side, 52 millimeters on front and sides, and 45 millimeters at the rear. The gun mantle is pretty sturdy, and you can get quite a few ricochets from your gun mantle. However, this commander's cupola up here is a weak spot, as well as this machine gun port here and this driver's hatch here. The lower glacis is tiny and very difficult to hit. Also, these fuel tanks here, you can easily take up the fuel tanks and maybe even cause an engine fire by hitting these tanks here. And obviously the engine compartment back here. Then the gun, we'll quickly have a look at the gun in separate. There we go. That's the 57mm 55-57 FG, which basically is the same as the 57mm ZIS-4 on the Russian tanks. It's got a really, really fast rate of fire. 26.09 rounds per minute is pretty good. It's got 112mm of penetration with standard ammo, 189 with gold ammo. That's really good penetration for a tier 5 vehicle. The alpha damage is kind of low, but combined with a good penetration and the amazing rate of fire, this makes for amazing DPM. Let's quickly see if we can get the DPM. 2,217 damage per minute. In a tier 5 vehicle, that's amazing. The accuracy is pretty good. It's nothing absolutely amazing, but it's pretty good. 0.34 at 100 meters. That's pretty nice. 2.3 seconds aiming time, however, is not all that great compared to the rate of fire, because it means that you'll often have to aim even after you've completed your reload. So yeah, a gun lane drive might not be a bad idea in this tank. And then we've talked already about the weight. That's strange, but you know, it is what it is. The turret rotation is very good. 48 degrees per second is a very, very good turret rotation speed. 350 meters view range is amazing for a tier 5 vehicle. And 525 meters view range, I'm not quite sure how that stacks up. I'll just have to quickly compare it to the other tier 5 medium tanks. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of on the lower end. The M4 has got 100 meters more. Let's see, have a look at the Panzer IV. We have to look for top radio, don't we? Let's see. Yeah, that's okay. It looks like 525 meters is pretty bad. However, that's the story with the Russian mid and low tier tanks. They've got crappy radios, and as this is a Russian tank in Chinese disguise, that affects this tank too. So it's got a crappy radio. But except for that, this tank is really, really good, and I really like it. As for crew skills, I really recommend you to get repairs on your entire crew, because repairs are pretty important on this tank. Then for your commander, let's see what we've got here. I wouldn't really recommend Brothers in Arms on this tank, because it's a medium tank, and Brothers in Arms usually doesn't work all that well on medium tanks. Sixth Sense never is a bad idea. However, as your commander is also your gunner, I'd get Snapshot after repairs for your commander, because it's a medium tank, and keeping down this aiming time is always good. Because 2.3 seconds it's not bad, but it's not very good at this kind of tier. For your driver, after you've got repairs, I'd go with Smooth Ride. You could also get, for something like controlled impact or off-road driving, any of these will do. Clutch braking will do fine too. I haven't realised a big problem with engine fire, so preventative maintenance. I don't think that's that a good idea, but I'd choose one of these 4 skills here. Probably Smooth Ride or off-road driving after repairs. And then the radio operator, what can we choose for him? I'd probably go for signal boosting, because the signal range in this tank, as I already pointed out, is abominably bad. Situation awareness never is a bad idea either, to boost this really good view range, but after repairs I'd probably go for signal boosting in this tank. And then we get the loader. I don't like the loader skills and perks except for safe storage, and although there isn't a big ammo racking in this problem, saving yourself a repair kit is never bad, so after repairs I'd probably go with safe storage. Quick look at equipment. Toolbox wouldn't be a bad idea. However, if you want to fit equipment and you're prepared to spend a lot of money on it, I'd definitely go with the enhanced gun lane drive, because the bad aiming time is in comparison to your quick reload is one of the main drawbacks of this tank, so enhanced gun lane drive will really help out. Then the medium caliber tank gun rammer is a really good idea too, because it's pretty cheap or in comparison to the other pieces of equipment, and this tank's all about DPM, so minus 10% loading speed is really good. Well, for the third piece of equipment, I'd probably get Toolbox if you've got enough money. However, coated optics is fine as well, Binox is fine as well. I wouldn't really recommend improved vents, so I'd probably go with a setup, Toolbox, enhanced gun lane drive, and the tank gun rammer. If you love vents, go with vents, but I'd go with the setup, Toolbox, enhanced gun lane drive, the tank gun rammer. So quickly to the tactics in this tank. You always want to angle it like this, as I already said. You want to try to keep your eyes on target. You want to try to keep the target lit up, and keep yourself in a position where you're able to fire your target for a long time, so that you can just hammer it down with your DPM. It's also a very good idea to try flanking maneuvers on this tank, like for example, if your enemies are locked into combat with one of your allies, if you've got the possibility and it's safe enough, try to go around the side and come from the rear and then just hammer him with your DPM. That works really fine on this tank. The accuracy is pretty nice too, and although your aiming time is not all that amazing, sniping can be an alternative. However, you shouldn't use it as a main tactic, because it's just a total waste of the potential of this tank. Yeah, it's just an amazing all-round tank. Really, you can do nearly everything in it. You shouldn't try to play it as a heavy because it isn't, and 45mm of armor won't protect you 100% at the best of times. So yeah, that's basically it. Just play it as a opportunistic medium tank and an all-round tank, and you'll do fine in it. And it's a really fun tank to play. So to show you what I'm talking of, let's have some gameplay. So our first game is on Murowanka, and I usually don't head for this part of the map because it's usually enough other people go down here, and there are always tanks needed on the hills. However, in the Type T-34, I decided to move down here because one of the most important things you have to remember when you're driving this tank is that you haven't got any gun depression whatsoever. So you have to move to parts of the map on which you don't need any gun depression, like this one here. If I had gone through the hills, that would have been really difficult for me to do well there because I've got no gun depression. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to hide my tank behind the bush and angle the hull. However, as you can see, it's not working out all that well because I'm still visible behind the bush. So I try to relocate, and that's what I spend most of the time this game on, trying to find a good position. However, then enemy tanks are spotted, so I've got more important stuff to do than to position myself. Oh, an M3 Lee, and he's trapped. And now there isn't an M3 Lee anymore. First kill in the game. So, blind shot there, and there's a T-34 spotted, and there you can see this bad aiming time. That's a real problem in this tank. So, we go for the Panzer IV, we miss, and no, we don't kill him. Let's see who killed him. I think the S-35 CA killed him. And that again was the fault of my bad aiming time. So if you've got the money to fit a gun lane drive in this tank, definitely check it out. And Panzer III-4 rushing through the forest, and yeah, we get a shot into him. He's coming round, and there we go. Now we have to be very careful because snipers on the ridge will be able to see us and kill us. There's an M4 Sherman there, and we miss our first shot. I drive a bit closer and we take him out. Second kill, and it's looking pretty good for our team at this point. The score's 7-3, and we're just raging through this forest and killing everything that's in our way, even trees. And there's a KV-1, and it looks like he's AFK. And although he's AFK, I have to go around his rear because his armor is that good. As you can see, I bounce off his side, so I drive round. But, he isn't AFK after all. He's turning his turret, and I get a shot into his rear. And let's see, I think the S-35 CA gets the kill again. So he's doing pretty well. And as you can see, my right flank is crumbling. However, that could also be the fault of my really bad radio range, so I can't be sure. However, I decide to head on into cover behind those houses up ahead, and let's see if we can get some arty kills. Oh yes, there we go. SU5 and aim forever and miss. That's the major problem with this tank. And an Su-85 is firing at us. We have to get into cover quick, otherwise we won't exist anymore. A T-49's up there too, and the S-35 CA has got a 4th kill. He's having a great day today. So we finish off the T-49, and now Panzer III-4 is spotted. Oh, we miss again. Oh no. So he burned down. So there's only a Crusader left on 1 kill, and he's right on the other end of the map. So yeah, now he's dead. So that was a pretty nice result, really, and we got 3 kills. And the score at the end was 15-7, so a pretty easy win. And we didn't do all that much damage due to the really bad aiming time of this gun. So I can't really recommend this gun here or this tank at sniping or long range shooting all that much, except if it has to be really necessary. If possible, get close where aiming time doesn't matter, because That's the only real drawback of this gun for aiming time. So let's have a second game and let's see if we can do a bit better there. So our second match on Siegfried line, and the matchmaking is pretty bad. There are 2 tier 7 tanks in each team and quite a few tier 6 tanks. This is the worst kind of matchmaking you'll ever see in the Type T-34. So this is like kind of ultimate test how this tank performs in this kind of environment. And the T-34, the brother of the Type T-34, ahead. Let's see if we can knock him out. We get a shot into him, however he's finished off by somebody else. The Panzer IV Smaltorm killed him. And there's a Stug 3 back there. He bounces off twice, and that just shows you how bouncy the armor for Type T-34 can be when you angle it correctly, like I am right here. And that other Type T-34 bounced a shot off me too. So yeah, the repair speed is kind of sluggish, so repairs is definitely good on this tank. And the score's looking in our favour, 5-3, that's pretty nice. Basically only 3 tanks of our team has been killed till now, and the only tanks that are actually getting kills on the enemy team are the T-29 and the T-25/2. So I shot quickly because I wanted to knock that Stug out before he could shoot at me. However, obviously I missed because I didn't aim. But then the Stug missed too, and so I got my second shot in and made it count. So that's my second kill. And now let's see if we can get at this Type T-34. And right here you can see this bad gun depression. Like, if I had good gun depression, or just slightly better gun depression, I could have gotten that kill a lot earlier. But my gun depression didn't allow me to do so. So there's a Type T-34 of the enemy team firing at me from somewhere, but I can't quite figure out from where. So I decide to drive along here, to get some cover. And I'm not all that keen to go along there and face those tier 6 tanks with 250 health. So I decide to go for the Type T-34 who was shooting at me earlier. And who's spotted now. My first shot misses. Although these shells here have got pretty good velocity, they are pretty speedy. Like some shells of other tanks, like for example the Super Pershing shells, are really slow, but this tank's shells travel pretty quickly. So let's see if we can get a hit into the T-29. Interesting position. I wouldn't really be there as a heavy tank in this kind of game, but he's doing pretty well. He's got 3 kills, so yeah. I mean, he's got pretty bad accuracy, so I don't really see the point of being there. But yeah, we just missed the kill on the Hellcat, so that was a shame. But somebody else ram killed him, I think. So you got the Panther killed him. Okay. So yeah, the Panther's doing good work. He's got 4 kills already. And I just find the last second just to see if I can ninja the kill, but I can't. So I've kind of forgotten where this Type T-34 was. I think he was straight ahead. So I head for this bunker here. However, it turns out that he wasn't. And he tracks me, however he doesn't do any damage. So my first shot hits him right in the side. My second one does, and aim, and yes! 4th kill. So, yeah, 4 kills in a tier 7 match is pretty good, and that just shows you how good this tank can do and how good it can look after itself, even in this kind of matchup. And that's mostly due to the very good penetration of this gun. Okay, I must grant you that all my kills were tier 5 tanks, except for the KV-1S, and he had a side facing to me, so... But, all the same, like, in this kind of game, there are pretty many threats around, and it worked out pretty well for me. So, yeah, that says a lot about the quality of this tank. So let's have a quick look at some after game stats. So we got 40,414 credits out of that game. That's a lot. And that's the reason why a lot of people, if they can't afford premium tanks, play tier 5 vehicles for farming, because you make a lot of money and the ammo costs and repair costs are very low. Like, look at this, we made 40,000 credits and we could keep 37,000 of them. So I've got games in my Super Pershing in which I earn a lot less than that. So yeah, we got 1,171 experience points. Of course, that was a premium account, but all the same, 780 experience unmodified is pretty nice. We got a second class mastery badge, which just shows you how well people do in this tank, because we really kicked some ass in a tier 7 game here, and we only got a second class mastery badge. So yeah, that's pretty good. And we also got a steel wall. What? A steel wall in a tank with 45mm of armor? You're kidding me. But you know, that just shows you how amazing the angling of this tank's armor is. And if you present this tank's armor at a diamond shape to the enemy, how much additional armor thickness this will give your tank, and how much additional protection. We killed 4 vehicles, damaged 5, and critted 2, and we spotted 4. Or we didn't spot them, but we enabled spotting damage to them. As XP go, we got the second most on the entire team after the VK3001P, who did a hell of a lot of damage. We didn't do all that much damage, however, we got a lot of kills. And if we have a quick look at the detailed report, you can see that we enabled 845 damage with our spotting. And that wasn't only spotting, because this game was an 8.6 game, so probably some of that was tracking damage too. So yeah, we fired 16 shots, only 10 of them hit. That's a fault of this really bad aiming time. However, of these 10 that hit, 9 of them penetrated, so that's a really good penetration rate. I already told you we did 567 damage, received 11 hits, of which only 8 penetrated, so that means we bounced 3 shots, which is very good in a tank that's got 45mm of armor only. So we received 1,035 potential damage. Considering that our tanks only got 450 hit points, we more than doubled the amount of hit points of the potential damage we received. So yeah, our armor did pretty well in that game. We damaged 5 enemies, destroyed 4, and travelled 1.2 clicks. So pretty nice result there, and as I already pointed out, we got a whole pile of credits out of that game. So if you cannot afford a premium tank, check out a tier 5 vehicle, because they make the most money, except for premium tanks usually. So yeah, before I had a premium tank, I used to farm my money with tier 5 tanks as well. And for a summary, let's quickly go back to the garage. So the Type T-34 tier 5 Chinese medium tank. Yeah, I like it a lot, and I can definitely recommend all of you getting one. Although, if you've got the choice, like if you only want to get this tank for farming or just for fun, and you've got the choice between this tank and the T-34, get the T-34, because it's just got this better gun depression. If you've got the choice, the T-34 is a bit better, but this tank is nearly as good, and it's still really good. After this tank, you can go down, you can either get the 5916 or the Type 58, which is basically a T-34-85 in Chinese disguise once again. I want to get the 121, that's why I'm playing the Type T-34. And I've kind of got a bit of a question for you here, because I'm not quite sure if I should go down the light tanks or down the medium tanks, because, well, a lot of people say, and I'm not quite sure myself, but it kind of seems like the light tanks do a lot better than the medium tanks, but I really suck at playing scouting tanks, and I don't like. You lose a lot of your crew XP when transferring your crew to a different tank class, so that would be kind of nice to get the medium tanks. And if I get the medium tanks, I can also go down the heavy tank line from the Type 58. So I'm really not sure which line to get, and please let me know your opinion. If you've got an opinion of this, please let me know. It will help me out a lot. And obviously I'll do a review on all these tanks here, depending on which line I go down. So tell me which line or which tanks you want to have a review on, and I'll decide according to your opinions. Obviously I'll kind of have the final say in this thing, so no matter what you write in the comments, if I think the WZ132 is crap, I'll still get the T-34-2, but it will definitely affect my decision, and please let me know your opinion. Yeah, so if you're heading down the Chinese tank line and you're still stuck at the low tiers, you've definitely got something to look forward to. This tank is really, really nice, and as I already said, I can really recommend everybody getting one. One thing you just have to watch out for with this tank is that you choose parts of the map on which you don't need gun depression. You have to get used to that kind of playstyle with all Chinese tanks. Starting with tier 5. This is the first Chinese tank that introduces this really bad gun depression. But you've also got that problem with all your medium and light tanks. Not that much with the heavy tanks, but it's kind of just the typical thing about the Chinese, that all of them starting with tier 5 have got bad gun depression. The IS-2, the 110, not all that much, but it's still very, very bad. It's just not all that bad compared to something like the T-34-2 that cannot depress its gun. It just doesn't work. You just point your cursor down the screen at the bottom of the screen and your gun just doesn't budge. Nope, I'm not gonna go down. I don't want to go down. I'm just gonna aim ahead. So you better get used to that, because you'll be stuck with that all the time when playing the Chinese. But I love the Chinese tanks, and they must have a drawback, because except for that, they're incredibly awesome. So I'm really looking forward to going down this tank line. I hope you're looking forward to the future videos of these Chinese tanks coming up. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, consider liking it, consider subscribing to my channel. And yeah, thanks for watching a lot, and I hope I'll see you in those next videos coming up. Bye bye.